Good evening. This is Miss Makoviak, and I teach your child either Honors English 10 or Honors English 9 this year. On the screen in front of you, you see my email address. The arrow simply points out the most common spelling mistake with my last name. It only has one C, but it has two Ks. So if you need to reach me in any way, email is the easiest and the fastest way to get a response. If you don't hear from me within a day, please try again. It's possible that you have spelled my last name wrong, as it has many letters in it. So a frequent question is, what will we do in English? We do a lot of reading, thinking, listening, and sharing. So we're going to read lots of different types of things, different lengths, different genres, about different topics. We are also going to do a lot of writing about those things, revising and analyzing. So when we write, we'll write with various purposes for different audiences. A lot of times those are topics of choice. The most important part is that your student will be active throughout every class period. They are going to be asked to work collaboratively as a team. They sit in groups, but they will also be performing lots of work independently as well. The apps that I'm using this year, I still plan to use a lot of Schoology for assignments, submitting assignments. Everything will not be turned in through Schoology, but everything will be housed in Schoology. I will also ensure that there are supports in there too, videos and things to supplement what we've done in class. We will use Flipgrid as we start getting into independent reading, and your students are also going to need access to a QR code reader in order to do some of the readings as well. If your student is having difficulty completing an assignment, there are several ways that they can get help. If it's during class, the most easy and effective way to get help is to raise their hand. If it's outside of class, they can certainly check Schoology for those videos that I just recently mentioned. They could also come to lunch. My lunch schedule is on the screen. They also have gotten a copy of it, also posted inside my room and outside my room. They can go to the Writing Center in M313 to get help with their writing as well. They can also send me an email, but if they're sending me an email at 7 p.m., there's a good chance I won't see it until early the next day. Another frequent question I get is, my child has always gotten A's. Why did he get a B? One of the things I strive to do with my students is be very transparent about how they are doing in the class. So your student and I can have a very detailed conversation about a grade. I do follow the school's grading policy with 30% process grades and 70% product grades. But the questions on the screen may help you to understand how those are being scored. So a process assignment is something that is just graded on completion and timeliness. So did they do the assignment as it was directed, and did they turn it in on time? If it's completed, then it gets 100%. The product assignments are really a reflection of their learning and ability. So if their level of proficiency was not as high as it needs to be, then the grade comes down. There will always be a rubric score. So there are ways for you to understand where they are performing within the confines of the rubric. A lot of times students come home and they say, I'm really stressed. My essay is due tomorrow. Can my student have an extension? One of the things we're really striving to do at Huntingtown in general is help students learn how to use their time and resources wisely and effectively. In this course, we very, very rarely have an assignment that is lengthy that is due tomorrow. More than likely, that essay is something we've been working on for at least 5 days, probably longer in class. So if this student is stressed, it's probably because they've done something to put themselves in that position, or they may just not feel confident about their task. I don't really assign homework. Homework is things that they didn't finish in class or they should be reading. Everyone should be reading every day. And again, there's the lunch schedule for this year. So please reinforce to your students to use their time during lunch wisely. That's another place where students can use time to get caught up or get extra help. Another frequent question I get is about hack. I see a 0 or a blank. My student says she turned in the assignment. Why is it a 0? Well, all zeros in hack are not the same. So I'm trying to explain that if you see a blank or sometimes it shows up as a little dash, that means that the assignment hasn't been entered yet. So check back in a few days. It means I've received it, but it's not in. If there's a 0 with a little line through it, that means it's something that the student can't make up. Like we may have had a group discussion that day and she was absent. So that grade doesn't count for or against her. And an actual 0, which just shows up like a 0 in hack, means the student did not submit the assignment or did not complete it properly. So that would be the place for intervention from you and from me. You could also check your student's Schoology. All of you have access to your students' Schoology pages for all of their courses. At this time, I'm intending to use Schoology for all of our product assignments, maybe some process assignments, uh, but you can easily check their submissions by going there and clicking on the Grades tab on the left as displayed on your screen. And you can see here, this particular student turned in an assignment here. You can see that with the little paper looking icon. And this one was graded. This is blank, but that means it hasn't been graded, but you see the paper, it's been turned in. So if it was something that had not been turned in, it would just be blank. You wouldn't see this little paper here. And I'll include this video where I take you through that process in the Schoology folder in the class. If a student is absent, how do they get the work that they missed? I intend to include everything in Schoology. It may not be turned in there, but all the access to readings and handouts and even some outline notes from what we did in class, either that week or that day, will be in Schoology. The folders are labeled by week and by day. It is the student's responsibility to make sure that they access the work that they've missed and make it up. I really try to help with that, but I'm managing a lot of students, whereas the student is only managing him or herself. So I encourage you to help them to stay on top of their makeup work as well. We do have a state test. So for ninth graders, they will be taking a shorter version of this test in the beginning of October for their 8th grade English course. The 10th graders will be taking the MCAP literacy exam in the spring of 2022. I have no idea exactly what that test will look like as they have revised it since the last time students tested 2 years ago. So I will definitely keep all of you up to date on what that means. Just know that we are working actively every day to improve our students' thinking, reading, and writing skills to prepare them for this assessment. So I'm really looking forward to working with you and your student this year. Please reach out with any questions and let's have a great year. Thanks.